Marie.
And I'm Victor Marie. And you're watching The Perspective.
Today we have a fun game kind of plan for you guys. We wanted to involve the audience today, so we decided to ask you guys to give us 25 questions. So we're just going to answer the questions that you gave us today.
And in the midst of us doing the 25 questions that you guys may have sent or did send, and the others, I may have some questions myself. They're centered around everything, so nothing's off limits. So even after this show, if you guys have questions, topic discussions, and anything of that nature, you feel free to inbox myself or Riri, or you guys can email us at perspectivesperspective@gmail.com. We had so many people that responded to our request on the 25 questions, and we got well over 25, so this is just going to be the question and answer. We appreciate you guys. We really do.
Yes, we do.
Without you guys, we couldn't do it. So I'm going to give off some of the questions, and we're going to answer them to the best of our ability. So here we go. Let me look. I should have been ready. Don't judge me.
Yes, you should have.
Don't judge. Don't judge. And these names will remain nameless. So these things are just going to be answered as such. Okay. One of our viewers had asked the question, and it said, "What if one of your past ex-close friends wants to get to know you further? Should you pursue it even though his cousin was the past, or should you just cut him off altogether?" Honey. Cousin. Okay. You said you wanted to know, or it was a regular question, rhetorical. But the question was, should she date her ex's cousin?
Yeah.
Now, I've had that type of situation occur to me.
Oh, wow.
Where I've dated someone, and probably in middle school or elementary, and we're well grown now, and their family member or friend has tried to pursue me. And my whole thing with everything, loyalty. If I dated your cousin prior to or 3 or 4 years ago, nothing. If I even had a phone conversation with him, ain't nothing popping with me and you in the future. So I would have to say, cut him off. He ain't no good. He ain't even about
right,
that
girl.
life. He ain't about that life.
And I wouldn't want them having no discussion about me.
Dude, how awkward would that be though, to
Yeah,
go
man,
to a
I
family
kissed her and
gathering
she-
and we used to talk together, and I
No.
kissed her too. That's so awkward. And I know people that who's done that before, where the ex, like I used to date him and then they got married. Like, who does that? Is so awkward to me.
Yeah.
So just to answer your question, I personally would cut him off.
Yeah,
Cut him off.
that wouldn't be me. Cut them off, girl.
Another question we had was, do you believe that being single and raising your children on your own will affect the children later on in life as they grow up or as they
Wow,
grow
that's
older?
such a good
That's a
question.
very good question. I being a single mom and having, separation from their father, he and I, we try to still raise them together. So I think it depends on the relationship between the parents. They don't necessarily have to grow up and be affected badly. I believe it'll affect them in different ways, and that's just natural. But I don't think it can turn out bad if the parents are working together. And so I would have to say it will affect them. It's a given. It's going to affect them, but it doesn't have to affect them in a bad manner. As long as you guys build team things and do everything together, or make sure both parents are on the same page as it relates to discipline and raising them, then they should come out, pretty much as if we both still stayed in the same home.
Yeah, and if you're coming from a perspective where the father's not involved or the mother's not involved, because I don't know who the question is from,
Good.
I feel like it probably will affect them, but I feel like you should start at an early age being very honest with them. Especially if you have boys and you're a woman trying to raise a man. That's kind of hard because a woman can't teach a man how to be a man. So get them involved with some big brother activities, or if your daughter, you know, sometimes we as girls, we do need our daddy. So get her connected with maybe an uncle, see if you can get somebody else to kind of fill that role for her, so she does feel like she does have someone that she can kind of look at as a father figure, because it's important for a girl.
That's good. That's good as far as the putting them around role models and things like that, because it's just so unfortunate that they grow up and they just have their mom, and that's why you see a lot of just be real, a lot of young men acting as women because there's no man in their life to actually show them the role of being a man and etc. So it's important. That's very important.
That's a very good question. Thanks for that question.
Thank you. Ooh, this one. The question was, why is homosexuality accepted to a degree in churches when it clearly states in the Bible that it is a sin? I'm gonna read it again. Why is homosexuality accepted in a degree or to a certain extent in the church when it is clear that it's in the Bible that it's a sin?
Oh, you want me to go first on this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you look at it as being accepted, but I feel like you have to love everyone. Like, if someone comes to your church and they're clearly gay, I don't feel like they should be an outcast because they're that way. I feel like
I agree.
God says through love and kindness have our drawn thee. So I
Good.
feel like that's very important because it's the same as someone being a liar or someone being a fornicator. Like, you can't look at that sin as being any different. Now, if it's in the church and no one's speaking against it or telling them that they're wrong for living that lifestyle, then it's a problem. But I feel like it definitely needs to be addressed just as well as whatever sin I'm committing needs to be addressed as well. But I don't feel like that person should be pointed out or made to feel like, that they shouldn't be there or made to feel uncomfortable.
I agree, and I was telling, when I guess I want to say when I meditated on the question, I asked myself, what do you do when you see things like that, or when you encounter those things? One thing, understanding is everything. And it's my role as whoever I am in the church, or our role as the body of Christ, is not to condemn, but to necessarily allow God to do the convicting. Mm-hmm. So truth outweighs everything.
Absolutely.
It's important that you teach the truth. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it's accepted. Some people do accept it. Some people have built their own church on that, first man and first guy. Y'all know, pastor man and first man. Like, it doesn't make sense. But in the same token, in the church where the truth is being preached, I believe that everybody can be changed when they're in an environment where, although it's not accepted, I was changed because of the way you love me. I was changed because of how you guys treated me. And, so I think it's not predicated on it being accepted. It's more so on the ends of it being us loving one another. So I think the church do, in some areas, treat people who lie, who fornicate. It's no difference. But I feel like we treat them different. But in the same token, there are people who actually love on people like that, and love on people who struggle in those areas with adultery. And it's important that we just continue to express our love to one another, and not necessarily accept it, because that's not what it is. We accept the person. We don't accept the sin.
Amen.
So that's pretty much what I found out from that question. Anything else?
No, just love. Love is important.
All right. Another question was, and I'm trying to paraphrase it because it was long, but it was, how come pastors manipulate the congregation money wise? So his question centered around why do pastors manipulate the poor saints to drive their Benzes, their Lexus, and live in these big houses? That's deep. He feels that he doesn't want to go to church and doesn't want to be in the presence of people in the church facility building, I should say. He doesn't want to be involved in that because he feels like everybody in the church is a bunch of crooks, and that when he comes, he see a whole bunch of poor people barely making it, but the pastor driving off in his Benz and on his cell phones and going to this big house. That's good. That's different.
And I feel like you may go to church and you may see the pastor driving the Benz and you may see the pastor with a big house. That doesn't necessarily mean that the pastor's taking the money. First of all, if you're poor, how you taking your money anyway? You ain't got much money to give.
Come on, dollar.
A dollar
Put
ain't gonna get that far.
He like, I ain't put my whole check in there and put that dollar in the offering real quick.
It's unfortunate that it is churches that's out here that's, manipulate people, and that does happen. But at the same time, you got to watch where you're sitting underneath. Like, every church is not the same, and I don't feel like because you've been in one bad place you got to make everybody else church be the same because you've been, in one bad situation. Like, I'll use my church for instance. Like, we have a big building and my pastor does drive events and he does have a big house. But at the same time, I know my pastor to be faithful. I know my pastor to be the first one to give. But at the same time, their level of faith is different than our level as well.
Good.
Where I believe the word. Like, if you sow, you're going to reap. If you sow in dollars, you're going to reap back dollars.
Good.
And the man of God, he's giving his life to this. Like, so why doesn't he deserve to have a nice car just as well as I deserve to have a nice car? That's how I look at the situation. Sorry, guys.
So, and then even with that being a factor, as far as them doing what they're doing, like I was telling somebody else, POD, hold it down. Preachers of Detroit has been a big, broad topic. And a lot of people or viewers have been pretty much downing it because some of the pastors are talking about what they drive and things like that. I don't know. I haven't seen the show, but what I did learn is a lot of people saying like this man got this man got that, and all the people in the church, they're suffering and things like that, and it's giving pretty much the church a bad name. Not the show, just some of the things that the pastors say. And I had to correct someone because, well, not necessarily correct, just give my view of it. Pastors are people God has appointed to feed the sheep. At some point, when you're a teacher, you know more than a student. And in some events, they're teaching us how to tap into the same thing, the same knowledge that they know, if they're not selfish. And so my view on that is, it's not necessarily that they're trying to rob you. They have a level of faith. I know preachers that work. I know pastors that still work and bust their behind every day. Elders, ministers, whatever the case is. But I believe it's the level of faith that you have. And it's a level of faith that we as Christians may have that some people who don't go to church, who don't sit underneath the word, no. One of the most important principles is tithing. And that's one of the most, I want to say, the most argumentative topics in the industry as it relates to secular or the world's way of doing things and the church way of doing things. And so I believe that when you pay your tithes and when you sow seeds, that initially I'm going to reap that harvest. They believe that if I give my last, in the world's way of thinking, if I give my last, then I won't have nothing left. I believe that if I hold on to what I have no room or no hand to receive nothing else, nothing open for God to continue to pour. And so there's different viewpoints, different opinions, but there's a level of faith you have to incur or have to be around. And what you do is connect to those things. You connect to those type of people who actually have that faith. That way you too can drive the Benzes. You too can drive or talk or have the big houses. Because I'm going to have it because I'm connected to some greatness.
Absolutely. And I believe that when we do things, if you look at it naturally, if you go to the corner store, you get something, you get a bag of chips, but you still got to pay for it. And if you go to the club, you want to drink, you got to pay for it. Like, people, they don't mind spending their money on things like that, but when it comes to giving to the house of God, it's a problem or an issue. I just feel like, do what's biblical. You don't have to do any extras. Do what's in the Bible. If it says so it's him, so it's him. If you don't want to do no extras, don't do no extras. You don't got to do anything that you don't want to do. But that's like a big issue with most people, because they see people ask for offerings or tithes. Like, bills have to be paid. If you want to sit underneath some heat, you got to give some money. The heat has to be paid. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. So, you got to look at it like that in a natural sense. If you want heat at home, you got to pay for it. If you want heat there, you got to pay for it.
And I believe people get confused from, there's a business aspect of church.
Absolutely.
The church is like a home. The pastor's like your father. His wife is like your mother. This is a house that they maintain, and they need it. And if their children who are over 18 going to still stay with them, then they have to contribute to the bills. Period. Right. I mean, you have to be mature in this thing. You have to understand that I want to go and I want to go see the praise and worship team sing. I want to go and I want to hear the choir. I want to go and I want to hear a good word. I'm not going to be comfortable listening to the word in the dark.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be comfortable listening to the word when it's freezing cold outside. I'm not going to be comfortable. Just some people only come to church for music. So what if the microphone don't work? Then you can't hear them. You can't understand nothing it's saying. I mean, those things. Of course, Jesus needed none of those things when he was doing his ministry. But times has changed and we're forever evolving. So it's so important that that you mature in that area of your giving, and understand that this for some preachers, I know some of them that hold a lot of integrity, and what they do with the finances is ultimately to keep the place available for the believer. God gives them a vision, and it's their job to make sure that things occur. Just like in your ministry, where God gives you the vision and the people come, you expect them to help you, or you would like for them to help you, because that's the way you're going to keep moving, and that's the way we're going to continue to enjoy this thing called ministry. So I think, at some point you have to understand there's just two different sides of it. Yes, God loves us. Yes, God this. Yes, God that. Yes, He is everything to me. But in the same token, He wants to continue to bless others. So in the event that somebody may need some food, somebody may need some funds, your lights may be getting ready to cut off in your home. In the event that you need those things, then you're contributing to that is what's going to get it back into your hand. So you really got to really think about what you say. Think about how you talk about these men and women of God, because they are people. They are watchmen for your souls. If you're in a predicament where you're giving your last, I personally have done it and seen God do miracles. Absolutely. But if you're uncomfortable with it, then there's a things or a scripture that tells you not to give grudgingly. And it also tells you to not, basically, don't give out of obligation. Give it from your heart.
Yes.
And so when you give, God will give it to you pressed down, shaking together, running over. And He's going to cause men to pour into your bosom. That's your pastor. That's your friend. That's anybody else that pretty much want to feel the need to bless you. So you bless them, they'll bless you.
And bishops have business outside of what they do sometimes too. People be like, they got these businesses, these cars, but they got real estate. They got all kind of stuff going on that people can't see. So just don't judge a book by its cover. Like, get to know what's really going on.
Please, y'all. Please.
Yes.
All right. I have another question. That was a good question, sir. Or ma'am, whoever gave it to me. Thank you. Okay. The question was, how do you forgive and make this thing work?
Forgive what, though?
I want to say this is regarding a relationship. Okay. How do you forgive and make this thing work? How do you forgive?
Forgiving is a process. Like, you can't forgive something. Like, it all depends on what it is. If someone cheated on you, it's going to be a process for you to forgive them. Like, sometimes it's easier for people to be like, oh, I forgave, but if you forgave someone, you're not still bringing it up. You're not still throwing it in their face when you get mad or angry at them. So I feel like forgiving is a process, and you need to allow that time for that person to just forgive you as well. Because sometimes they be like, well, you said you forgave me, and it's been a month or 2 months. But sometimes that pain runs deep when you break a bond that we share together. And, and then it's good not to put expectations on people, because we're not perfect at the same time. And we're flawed and we make mistakes too. But at the same time, that doesn't give you a reason to be disloyal to someone. So I feel like forgiving is a process, and you need to allow that time to really forgive. If you need to separate in that time and build that rapport in order to forgive that person, then I definitely think you should do that as well.
I agree. Forgiveness and forgetting. One thing about forgetting is the scriptures tell you that Jesus forgives us and remember our sins no more. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exempt the fact that we did it. Mm-hmm. It just lets you know that I'm not going to hold you to that. Mm-hmm. And so any event, when you're in the process of forgiving someone, on all aspects of things, mm-hmm. the first step is prayer. Mm-hmm. It's the understanding that you're human. Mm-hmm. It's the pure understanding that we as people, we're going to mess up. Yeah. I can't tell anybody, and this is any situation. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. It don't have to be in a relationship. It can be with a friend. It could have been with how your pastor, something he said. Something your boss man has said to you, something a neighbor may have said wrong to you, anything that caused you to walk in the line of having to forgive someone or feeling at odds with them. One thing you want to do is make sure everything's on the table. Mm-hmm. Make sure you go to them and let you know, hey, you hurt me. Hey, I'm going to make some things work. So in order for me to make this work, you need to know A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Mm-hmm. But as it relates to forgiving, when you forgive, you only telling them that I believe in you. Mm-hmm. I trust you to be nobody but you. Mm-hmm. I don't trust you to be the superwoman, the superhero. I don't trust you not to make mistakes. I don't trust you not to get upset. I trust you to be you. whoever that may be. And so when you forgive, it's important that you forget. Not forget in the terms of don't remember, having amnesia. No. Sometimes we need a reminder. Sometimes we need a reminder of things that we go through. Sometimes we need a reminder of things that we've encountered to remind us of how good God is, and how or even in the midst of being hurt by someone or something that has happened to hurt us. Going through those things, how it's a constant reminder on how faithful God is. I believe that the first type of forgiveness is trusting God, who is faithful. Because if don't nobody else come through for you, He will. And so at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your efforts in forgiving is strictly the way God does you. If you want to think about forgiving, thinking about the times that you may have messed up. Think about the times that you hurt God. Think about the many times you disobeyed Him, and how you're still breathing the breath of life, and how you're still able to maintain your finances, or how He's giving you a second chance at something.
Absolutely. And I also think it's also knowing that it had nothing to do with you, why someone else may have done something.
Good.
Like not making it about yourself. And just because someone does something wrong to you, that doesn't mean that they don't love you. But that means something is lacking, and that means you guys are not communicating well, or and sometimes people can be a little selfish when they do things like that.
Definitely.
And I don't think someone should. And I believe you can forgive and forget. I'm a person that believes that, because I've done that. So I think it is possible. But for someone to continuously hurt you and continuously do that to you, like sometimes you just have to separate. You can forgive and leave that person alone and say, it's just not meant to be, because you're not going to continue to do this to me. So I believe it's something that you guys can work through, seek counsel if you need to, or whatever means are necessary for you to be able to move forward with each other. That was a beautiful question. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question was, why do females never forgive or forget when guys cheat on them? What?
The same token.
Help me. You said, why do females never forgive or forget when you cheat on us?
Ooh.
Why don't we forget?
Yeah, she mad.
I'm mad. Why don't we forget or forgive when you cheat?
Man. You go ahead. You feel passionate about that?
Kind of mad about that, because what do you mean? Why? It's not that we don't forgive, but we can't forget. Next question. I can't even deal.
No, that's not right.
We sometimes are emotionally wounded.
She's scorned. This is a scorned woman. I'm just joking.
It's hard to forget. One thing I have never been in the practice of is holding anything over somebody's head, as I said in the last statement. But to just make it clear for the person who not where I'm at, you cheated. You cheated. You cheated. You cheated. I'm so serious. I don't think I know. Like, it's like playing basketball or football, and the referees cheat, and we lost the game knowing we deserved it. I'm faithful to you. I'm loyal to you. I'm here for you. I'm everything you need me to be. Yet and still, you cheated.
Oh,
trying to win, and you lost.
Wow.
That's why we have a hard time dealing with it. It's not that we don't forgive you, but we will have an issue with trusting you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Why do people compete in church?
Oh Lord.
I don't know how to bump, but I know how to.
Well, it's kind of hard for me to answer that question, just because I've never been that kind of person to be. I mean, you see it, and it's sad, because at the end of the day, it's not about you or me anyway. I'm not here for you. I'm not trying to compete against you. God has given us all different gifts, and I'm wishing you the best at whatever your gift is. And no one can beat you being you, so I don't understand the competition.
Why do people compete? Intimidation. Someone once told me that it's not you who they're upset with. It's your purpose. they tend to feel like you're accomplished, or you're doing the same thing I'm doing. And because you're doing the same thing I'm doing in the church, because you're doing the same thing I'm doing, then you're competition. You're trying to take my spot. Ain't nobody trying to take your spot, baby. Ain't nobody trying to take your spot. The whole thing is, and this is what I expressed on my Facebook page earlier. We are all put here for a unique purpose. She has one, I have one. And some of our talents are the same. Some of our giftings may be similar.
Yeah.
However, they're all assigned to different purposes. They all have a different purpose. They all have a different assignment. My assignment is not the same as a singer. My assignment as a minister of music or things like that is not the same. You know, I have a different audience. And so it's important, one, instead of getting the intimidation, you want to cling to one another. You want to love on one another, so that when in the event that both of your purposes are needed, you are not at our odds. Because there's positions where we are all put in the same, and ain't just music, I'm just saying in general, in the church, we are all put in the same church. One, you got an usher, and then you have a greeter. One and the same, because they both operate with people. They both operate in the church. But the usher thinks she gonna walk that person down the aisle better than you could smile at them at the door. And the problem is, you both are serving different purposes. But the initial goal is to make the person feel welcome. Mm-hmm. So it's so important that when you get ready to do your thing in the church, or anybody, to make sure that you're not intimidated by another gift. Mm-hmm. It's a gift. That gift can be a gift to you. And if you're shunning it, and if you're afraid or upset because they may, quote unquote, do it better than you, which I disagree with. Mm-hmm. They may do it better than you, or everybody else like them more than you, then you will lose. You'll lose in this game, because that's not love. That's not love at all.
For me, what happened to the humble people? My goodness, like titles and all that, you don't choose it, God choose you. So who are you to be feeling like you're this big person, or you can't move over for the next person? Like she said, I can help you help me, or you can help me help you, whatever. Like, we should be able to work together in unity. It's a body thing. You can be the arm, I can be the hand. Like, it should be like that. We should be able to function together. I don't need to be seen. I'm good with working behind it. But I feel like a lot of people in church are not humble. And a lot of people like to be seen. A lot of people feel like, oh, well, you come, you new, or you can sing, or you're going to try to take my shine, so let me start a rumor about you, or let me say something about you. Like, that's all right.
That's so bold.
People need to stop being like, get out yourself.
Get out yourself.
Move over, make room, and let them shine.
Everybody have a light, and we all have different lights, different areas of darkness that we must shine. And if you don't understand that, then that would be the number one reason why you're trying to compete with somebody. Because I'm not trying to compete with anybody to get in a position that I probably don't belong anyway.
And if that's so, leave, I feel like God gonna hold you accountable for that.
Okay. Another question was, are saints too hard on each other?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Expect each other to be perfect.
Absolutely. We condemn one another. We don't walk in love. We don't support each other. And it goes back to the competing thing. You know, that's you're too hard on that person. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't have to prove anything to you but God.
Exactly.
So who are you to try to validate anybody? I mean, and that's anything: preaching, teaching, singing, ushering, walking down the aisle, putting the carpet down, helping screw the pews in, whatever the case is. Who are you? They don't have to prove anything to you. Yep. You know, none of you have anything to prove to anybody in the church. You have to prove everything to God. Study yourself to show yourself approved. Study to show yourself approved by who? God. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it's important to stop being so hard on one another. We all gonna mess up. Mm-hmm. Don't try to air somebody else's dirty laundry when you got your own skeletons.
Come on. And it's easy for people to do that. It's easy for me to point my finger at her and talk about her rather than to say something true about myself. Like, it's so easy to do that. But at the end of the day, like, we need each other. I need you. You need me, you know. And people don't understand that. Like, we need to be able to push. That's the whole point of being in church. Why be in church if you're going to be just like the world? Mm-hmm. The whole point of the church is to be different and separate yourself from the world. Yeah. And you come to church, and then sometimes it's the same. You can't tell a difference, and that's sad. And again, I guess they go back to being humbled. And being sure of yourself, being confident
Yeah,
in
that's
who
most
you
important.
are.
You got to be confident in
And
who
not
you are.
needing to be like God did. He gave some, when he gave the talents up. He gave him 1. He gave him 5. So I'm gonna be great at my one talent that I got. Not trying to look at her and look at her like, oh, her 5 looks so good to me. I bet you I can do that better than her. No, them her 5 gifts that God gave to her. So I'm gonna let her shine. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna support her, and as well as she'll be there for me with my one gift God gave to me. And that's just it.
And then this next question was, what's the toughest thing to get over in a relationship?
For me, I think it'll be probably like if you break the trust bond that we have with each other. I feel like that's important to me, for us to keep that. I feel like if I can be faithful to you, I'm human. We go through things. You can do the same for me. I'm no different than you at the end of the day. But, for me, it's trust.
If you eat my pretzels,
Oh, God.
M&M pretzels, if you touch them, it's going to be very hard for me to get over that. I'm just telling the truth. See my face? I'm serious. One of the toughest things to get over in a relationship is having your expectations be pretty much
Womp, womp, womp.
exactly. When you set your expectations on the person, or
Don't do
not
it.
necessarily, or thinking of potential, when they don't reach their potential, or when they don't reach who you see them to be, that's a tough thing to get over, because a person that can see who you can be, and you ultimately not want to drive to be that person that they know you can be, and you can be, it's a hurtful thing. Trust, like she said, trust. Once that bond is broken, it's very, very hard to accumulate the things. But when it comes to trust, the scriptures has told us over and time again, over and over, to put it's better to put your trust in man. I mean, in God rather than man.
Yes.
And so the thing is, he said it's better to put it in.
Because you're going to mess up.
It's better to put it in him, but you trust people to, again, like I said, to be them. Humans are liable of falling. As long as we are in our flesh, we will hurt. As long as we are in our flesh, we will make stupid mistakes. You know what I mean? The difference in getting over that trust issue and that trust factor is owning up. Sometimes when you can't get over something, it's because you fail to own up, but take ownership and responsibility for that part in that relationship. So when you get ready to forgive and or try to get over some things in a relationship, understand that you can't get over it until you let it go. So you got to face it too. You can't run from it.
And for me, I feel like, going back to that, I feel like I'm more maybe prone to forgive you if you're honest. Just say, I messed up.
Yeah.
Don't let me find out. Don't let me find out. No,
She crazy, y'all. She crap. I'm telling you, she crap. Don't do it, Bernard. Don't do it, Bernard.
Don't do it, Robert Wembley. Don't do it. No.
Don't. And that's important. Just make sure that you're open and honest in every situation after that point. But to answer your question, it's diverse things that can be hard to get over. But
Yeah.
I would have to say, in your efforts to get over, face those things, leave them to God, move on.
Yeah.
When you move on, it's very important that you don't put a book bag on full of the old stuff that you've been through. Don't carry that with you. When you go into a new thing, when you go to set new foundation and new goals, leave the old failures behind. Clean slate. Okay, another question was,
This gotta be our last question.
should all pastors be married to lead a church? Should all pastors be married in order to lead a church?
Well,
I got nothing.
I think it is good for a man to be married when he is leading the church, or vice versa. Because you need someone to give you that strength. You need that backbone. You need someone at the end of the day you can go home, you can be real with, tell all your flaws to, tell everything that you're going through. I feel like everybody needs that person. But in the event that if you're not, because Peter was, he was made to be a single man, But at the end of the day, I think it's better to have someone, and maybe it's not for some other people because they ain't got all that extra baggage. And
I know Peter like.
ain't got all
did he die like
problem.
that? Do you know if Peter died? Like,
I think Peter died single.
He never.
I don't think he.
I'm not a Peter.
Some people, God has really given that gift to live a life in singlehood.
Well, you know what? That ain't my ministry, Lord. So my perspective of things, I don't think he necessarily have to be married. I mean, who says that? You know, it's better to marry than to burn, but it's not a commandment to marry unless you're planning on practicing some acts that you need to be married.
Most people are less reasonable.
And because to be honest, my father is a preacher. He's
You better not throw shade at him.
he's a preacher, and my daddy has been single since I can remember. And when I first moved with my dad, I was 8 years old, and he's been without a female for a long time now. I don't know, I don't know what he do in between his personal time. However, he is a Peter. He preaches the word of God. He does that, and that does not have a woman. And he still do what he do though. He still preaches. He still teaches the people. And so I can say honestly, I would have to say no. I don't think if you guys have scripture to back that up, then holler at me because I need to know. Cause I go tell my daddy something. But I don't think it's necessarily mandatory that you would be married in order to lead a church.
Right.
So guys, we're gonna wrap up. We do appreciate you guys and your viewing. This was so much fun to me.
Yeah,
it brought out so much personality, and we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. So next time we get ready to do it, I believe that that we will. Okay, address the people. I had one more question, and it's been maybe 4 to 5 people to ask. Can I be on the show? And I was so excited to see that. I mean, obviously we are doing something to help you, and we would love to have you. So we're gonna get you guys on our schedule. We're gonna get this thing rolling, and the perspective is here to impact you in a positive way.
Yes.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Peace,
Thanks for
guys.
watching.